Good day, everyone. Eric Olsen from Helps YouTube Live. Glad to have you here. Um, my name's Eric. I've been an attorney now for 46 years. The founder of Helps. Helps is a national law firm that represents seniors and disabled persons who owe debt they can't afford to pay. And we're here to explain to you if you're a senior, you're having debt problems, if creditors are harassing you. We're going to tell you how that can be stopped, why you're going to be okay. Even if you're sued, you're going to be fine, how they're not going to take your property. We're going to answer these questions. And if you got questions in the chat feature, you can put them there and I'll address them. And I also will answer questions that were in the comments from our prior videos. We have these videos at the same time every day, Monday through Thursday. And so if you're new, I want to welcome you. And we always ask our clients, people to share what Helps does with others. We're the only law firm in the nation I'm aware of that does what we do. We help people in all 50 states. When they find out about us, they call us on the phone. We explain how their income is protected, explain their rights, and if they decide they want the help, they can enroll in Helps. We don't turn anyone away. The cost is minimal. A lot of our clients get our help for free, depending on your income. And when you enroll, you give us the creditors you owe money to or the debt collectors, and we send a cease and desist letter out to them. That's a law. There's a federal law passed in 1978. Provides if you're represented by an attorney, debt collectors have to leave you alone. They can no longer bother you. And that's what we do. We represent seniors who owe debt to stop collectors from harassing them. And we also educate seniors how they can maintain their financial independence. So welcome. Glad to have you here. So before I talk about seniors worried about garnishment, I'll just address a couple questions I noticed that came up real quick here. Someone asked, good afternoon, is there a way where seniors can get low car insurance? If so, please help. Okay, I talk about car insurance a lot, okay? Car insurance can be affected by your credit in some states. But a number of states don't allow that to happen. But some states permit, your credit rating to affect your car insurance rates. Now, if you want to lower your car insurance rates, there's different ways to do it. One is if you've got an older car that isn't worth a whole lot, then you may consider just carrying liability and getting rid of collision and comprehensive. That could lower your insurance rates dramatically. See, liability protects you in case you're in an accident, it's your fault. All states require that you have a certain amount of liability insurance. And you can have a liability insurance anywhere from the minimum for your state. Some states it's as low as $10,000 or up to millions of dollars. Okay. Now, if you're an income with modest means, you can have liability insurance right at the very minimum that you're required to have. It's a tremendous difference between having liability insurance for $10,000 or $20,000 and for $200,000 or $300,000 or $500,000 or $1 million. You don't need to have the high amount. Why? Well, if you got in an accident and you caused more damage to someone, and if they were to sue you and your insurance company only covered you for a small amount, your income is protected, your Social Security protected, your assets are going to be okay. They're not going to be able to collect anything from you, so you don't need to have that higher insurance amount. That will save you. Also, you can have a higher deductible if you're going to have collision or comprehensive, which means if the accident is your fault and the cover to your car, you can have the deductible be $1,000 instead of being $100 or $500 or something like that. You can have it be higher, okay? And that will cut down on your insurance rates a lot. If you're affected by your credit, people that enroll in Helps after they've been with us for 90 days, we have a program called 7 Steps to a 720 Credit Score. Believe it or not, if you have bad credit, you can get your credit back. Your credit is based on your recent credit history. And within a year and a half, 2 years, you can get your credit back up to 700 credit score. We have a company that helps people do that. It's called 720 Credit Score. It's legitimate. They do it in a legitimate way. It's free to our clients. It doesn't cost anything. Once you've been part of Helps, you can join that program. A lot of our clients don't care about that, but those that do can get their credit back. So yeah, there are ways to get lower insurance, on your car. Those are a couple ideas that might be helpful for you. Okay. I had a sheriff come to the door. He asked if I owned anything. I said, no, he left. They don't want your. Yeah, okay. I can guess what state that might have been. See, if someone gets sued in the United States, and the state laws govern what assets are protected. It is, and state laws have exemption laws that protect a certain amount of equity, like equity in a home. In other words, what does equity mean? That means how much it's worth. If you owed someone, let's say you owed 50,000 on a home, is worth 100,000, you have 50,000 equity. Maybe that state protects $25,000. So 25,000 of that equity of 50,000 is protected, 25,000 isn't. However, it is not the practice of consumer judgment creditors to go after a person's non-exempt property. They simply don't do it. They theoretically can. It happens extremely rare occasions that they would ever go after a person's property that's non-exempt. And if they would do that, there's often ways to solve that, but it's so rare it's hardly worth talking about. Okay, so let's see here. I address these questions as they come. Johnny says, I'm on Social Security disability, age 58, and have 40,000 in savings account. Could a creditor get at that money with a judgment? Savings is all from Social Security. I'm in Massachusetts. No, I'll explain why. Okay, first off, probably one of the most important things we talk about seniors is that back in 2012, law went into effect that told banks that if someone was sued and a garnishment was served on the bank needed to examine where the money came from. And they can do that by looking at a code on the deposit. And if the person got money from a federal source such as Social Security or a federal pension or a VA benefit or post office or railroad retirement or federal worker or Social Security, they're to take the amount that they got each month times two. If that was 1,500 times two would be 3,000, and protect that sum in your bank account automatically from garnishment without you having to do anything at all. The bank does it automatically. Technically they have 48 hours to examine the account, determine where the money came from, and then protect it. Okay, they usually do it within 4 to 8 minutes nowadays, but that's the rule. Now, let's say you had money that came from a protected source like Social Security, and it was over twice the amount. Okay, and this guy had $40,000 in an account, a savings account. Well, if someone were to sue you, get a judgment, okay, you might never get sued, and if they got a judgment, they may never know where you work, but let's say, or where you bank at, but let's say garnished your bank account. You could file a challenge of garnishment or claim of exemption to show the court that the money in your savings account came from a protected source. In other words, it came from Social Security, and the court would order that money released. We help people do that when that happens. It's very rare that ever happens. You could prevent that by happening in a number of different ways. You could put the money in, maybe put someone else's name, a spouse's name, if they weren't on a judgment. You could have it in debit cards or cashier's checks, but no, the money's going to be protected. Just because it's over twice the amount, it may not be protected automatically without you having to do anything, but it's still protected. Just have to file paperwork with the court. But that may never be necessary. You'd have to be sued first. They'd have to get a judgment. That doesn't happen automatically. If you're sued, doesn't mean they can get the money. They have to, wait a month or 2 or 3 before they get a judgment. So no, there shouldn't be a problem. Okay? Mike asks, will anything dealing with helps? I have been a member for over a year. Will that be different by the new federal government? No. No, I don't see it. No, nothing's going to change. So I don't know if we talked to you, John, but you're welcome to call, and you can talk with me if you want. I'll talk to you about property taxes. It depends on state law. there may be something that can be done to property taxes. Okay, so let me talk for a minute about the topic. It says seniors worried about a garnishment. I think I've already touched on it today, but I'll explain. So, first off, if you're a senior getting Social Security or a pension, disability, VA benefits, all those monies are protected by federal and state laws. It can't be garnished or taken from you. If they served a garnishment on your Social Security, they can't do that. Garnishment, Social Security's been protected from garnishment since 1935. Pensions are protected almost under a federal law passed in 1974 called the ERISA, Employment Retirement Income Security Act. Most pensions are protected under ERISA. If it's not protected under ERISA, there's a state law that protects your pension. So it's not going to be garnished. In 46 years of legal practice, tens of thousands of bankruptcies, I've never had a client come to me that had a pension that was ever garnished. It's just not going to happen. Um, so, no, you're not going to worry about garnishment. Now, in order for someone to garnish, they'd first have to file a lawsuit, serve you with legal papers, do nothing about it, which you don't have to do if you owe the money, and they eventually get a judgment, and then they'd have to know, where you bank. But your bank, as I explained earlier, protects twice the amount of your federal benefits in that account, regardless of what other funds are in there. So if you had $1,500 in Social Security, $3,000 is protected. It doesn't all have to be Social Security in there. It could be any other monies in that account. It's still protected. The bank doesn't have to go to any imaginations on where this money came from in the account to see if it's protected. Twice the amount of Social Security, that's protected no matter what actual monies happen to be in the account. Now, what about your wages? If you're working, well, a lot of seniors aren't working, but if you are working, then it depends on the state where you live. Some states don't even permit garnishment. Okay, Pennsylvania, South Carolina, Texas, some states have pretty high limits, and then there's a federal law applicable in all 50 states that protects $217.50 net per week in wages. That's about $950 a month. So, but in order for them to garnish your wages, number one, they'd have to get a judgment. They have to know where you work, and they may never know that. So you really don't need to worry about it. And then if you work on the gig economy, if you're self-employed, virtually impossible for them to garnish. So you're not going to need to worry about that kind of stuff. Your income, the most important thing to remember is you're a senior, your Social Security is protected. And then the second thing is, what HELPS does is, there's a federal law passed in 1978, the year I graduated from law school, called the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. That law provides if you're represented by an attorney, debt collectors can no longer call you or send demand letters to you anymore. They have to leave you alone. And so that's what HELPS does. People find out about us, they call us, they'll talk to us 3 or 4 times or whatever. They decide they want our help, they can enroll. We enroll people by pushing a button on the phone. You're immediately enrolled. You get an email from us while we're talking to you on the phone confirming you're a member of HELPS. And then if we hang up the phone, if a creditor would call you in the next couple minutes, you told them to call us, they call us, we say, yeah, we represent this person. And then when you give us the name and address of the creditor you owe money to, we're going to send them a cease and desist letter, and they know by law they have to leave you alone. They can't call you or send you demands anymore. Now, they could still sue you if they wanted to. Often I think it's less likely they would because they get a letter from us explaining to them why it's a waste of their time to sue you. But if they did, and you owe the money, and they did nothing about it, which you don't need to do if you owe the money, and they get a judgment, they can't collect from you. You're what's called judgment proof. Okay? They can't take money out of your bank account, as I explained, and they're not going to take your other assets. So bottom line is you're going to be okay. You don't need to worry. That's the number one thing HELPS does, is we're there for you, for our clients. If you ever have a question or concern or worried, you pick up the phone and you call us no matter how often. That's what we're here for. So you can have someone to call. I did 30,000 or more bankruptcies before I started HELPS, and back, 2000 2008, the Great Recession, and a lot of seniors were having problems. And they'd come to a bankruptcy attorney, and the bankruptcy attorney would say, you really don't need to file bankruptcy. Oh, your income's protected. But I know, we knew if we sent you home, the creditors were going to still call you and harass you, and you'd worry about this stuff. And so HELPS was founded so that we could protect seniors from collector harassment, and they always have an attorney to call, no matter how often. So, you don't get charged every time you make a call to HELPS. Our fee is based on, on your income. It could be $20 for 24 months, $10 for 24 months, free thereafter, or $30 for 24 months, $15 for 24 months, free thereafter, or at the most $40 for 24 months. And then $20 for 24 months and free thereafter. So we are attorney ongoing, so you don't have to deal with collectors. You can call us as often as you need to if you're worried about debt. That's what we're here for. We don't want you to worry. Okay. So there's a couple comments that came in from the chat feature, or from the comments. Hello, Eric. What about if you work 40 hours a week, but I had a stroke 23 years ago, but still disabled? I can't use my left hand. I've been using credit cards due to the inflation, high rent. I'm struggling. Can you help me? Yeah, we can help you. Of course we can help you. You're working 40 hours a week. I'm not sure your age or if you're getting Social Security disability, and where you're working. We'd have to ask those questions. So here's the next one. The collection company that bought one of my debts sent me another copy of their lawsuit, like 30 sheets of paper, and they never look past the first phase because I know I'm a HELPS client and my income is protected. I don't have to worry, and what a relief. Yeah, so if you're a HELPS client and you get sued, what we do is we ask you to get us a copy of the lawsuit. We don't need the whole thing. This guy got 30 pages. We don't need the first 2 or 3 or 4 pages. What we need is the name of the attorney that sued you, his address or her address, and the case number. And then what we do is we're going to send a letter to that attorney that sued you. We're going to explain that your income is protected. You can't afford to pay the debt. We understand they're eventually going to get a judgment. Remind them not to touch your bank account. And they can't anyway for the reasons that I just explained. It's automatically protected by your bank. And then we're going to call you on the phone, explain why you don't need to worry. We're going to send an email that leaks to articles and YouTube videos from HELPS, explains why your income is protected and why you don't need to stress about this. Okay? We don't want you to worry. So this person commented, I don't know where this is. It says, I know you stated that everything is protected, but if I'm sued and don't show up in court, a default judgment happens. The problem still exists. How do you resolve that? Thanks, Eric. My debt collector is still going forward, even knowing everything is protected. Okay, well, if you get sued and we let them know that your income is protected, they still go forward. They just do that automatically. When a lawsuit is filed, sometimes it's just automatic. They have the computer system set up. They push some buttons. A complaint is sent out. I don't know if a human being even looks at it. Okay, and then it goes to a sheriff or someone, and they're going to serve legal papers on you. But they can get a judgment. They can't collect from it. You're going to be judgment proof. You don't need to worry about it. Okay, it doesn't need to be resolved. If you get a judgment against you, you can't pay it, and they can't collect from you. Judgment just sits there. Okay, they can't collect from you. Occasionally, when our clients are sued and we send a letter out, a judgment creditor will dismiss the lawsuit. It doesn't happen very often, maybe 1 out of 20 times, 1 out of 15 times. They'll dismiss it. They call it dismissal without prejudice, meaning they could sue again, but And I don't know sometimes why they even do that. I think they do it because they don't want to waste any more time on the case if they realize that your income's protected. But it doesn't always happen, and it's the exception, not the rule. Okay. So this is a series of calls from a person I think enrolled in helps, and I'll just read this to you. This is kind of an example of what happens when people call. I think this person called last fall at the first time. He says, um, she said that she pretty much signed her life away. She must provide maintenance on her vehicle, and it's costing her a lot of money. The car payment is too high. She needs a car, but is considering doing a voluntary repossession. And when she got a car with payments too much and she can't afford it. She said that she mentioned doing a voluntary surrender on the vehicle to the loan company, and they were very rude to her. She does not know if she will be able to get a new car if she does the repossession due to her credit possibly being ruined. We'll talk about that in a second. Went over what we do and about what would happen if they gave the car back, and we sent her an email that talks about that. And then she got back to us again in January, early January. And then wanted to know about, what it would take to enroll in helps. Her son doesn't want her to surrender the car. Well, I know he probably doesn't because he uses it, but she can't afford to pay for it. And then she called, may have called today, looks like, and would like to surrender her car, can't afford it. She has 2 credit cards in addition. So let's talk about a car you can't afford. Sometimes I'll talk to people that have a house payment and a car payment, and I'll ask them, they might be able to afford one or the other, and I said, which one's more important? And almost always it's the house. Well, you can let the car go back. If you have a car you can't afford and you let it go back, stop making the payment, they're eventually going to repossess the car, and they're going to auction it off. They're going to sell it, and they're probably going to sell it for considerably less than what you owe. Now that difference is called a deficiency, and you're going to get a letter in the mail sometime in the future saying you owe this amount. It's a deficiency. You need to pay us. Now, if you don't pay it, are they going to sue you? Maybe, maybe not. It wouldn't matter. If your income is Social Security or pension or disability or VA benefits, it's protected. If they got a judgment, they can't take anything from you. You're okay. You can let the car go back. And then when you say, well, Eric, I need transportation. I'll talk about Consumer Financial Protection Bureau here in a second. I don't think it's going anywhere. But anyway, let's go. Talking about transport affordable. I have an article, or I have an email that we send to people called Affordable Transportation. We also have a video called Affordable Transportation. Sometimes I'll tell seniors that have a car payment they can't afford. Maybe they just can't afford the car payment. Let's say you had a $400 car payment. If you let it go back, it might take them 2 or 3 months to repossess the car. If you parked it in the garage, they couldn't force the garage open. It has to be on a place where they have access to it. Okay, you don't have to open the garage for them. Eventually, you're going to need to give it back to them. But you could hang on the car for 4 months. Okay, or 3 months. So 3 times $400 is $1,200. It's not a lot of money, but it's something. If I got on Craigslist and looked under cars for sale, owner only, and typed in runs good, in most parts of the nation, I'm going to find a pretty decent car for $1,500, maybe a couple thousand, maybe even less. May not be the latest model, but it's going to be sold by an owner who says, hey, this car, may have a dent in it, but it still runs really good. It may have a lot of miles, but it's still reliable. And most seniors aren't driving a long ways away. Okay. So it is possible to get affordable transportation. You just may not be able to afford a car payment. If you have a car payment, then you got to pay for comprehensive and collision insurance. If you have a car that's free and clear, you only have to pay liability insurance. Your insurance is a lot less. So sometimes, and you can get on Facebook Marketplace too, there's a lot of places you can go to find less expensive transportation. And then you've got Uber and you got Lyft. So you got friends, and you can save up a little bit. It may be possible to get a car for cash so you don't have a car payment. Okay? So Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Yeah, I've been following politics a little bit. We don't talk about politics on Helps, but I don't think it's going to go away. I really doubt that. It's pretty ingrained. I think most congressmen realize that it does do a lot of good. There may be some things that they're too aggressive on, but I see consumer financial protection being a real help to some seniors and to people that are struggling. That creditors can take advantage of people that are poor, and they need a watchdog out there that watches for them. And that's why the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau was founded. And I think it's been around here for a long time, and I don't think it's going to go anywhere. Okay, maybe people disagree with it, aspects of it, but it's going to help. It's going to help people. Okay, I don't think it's going anywhere. Okay. So yeah, you don't have to keep the car. You can let it go back. Okay. So this person contacted us from Massachusetts. I am 75 years old and have been disabled for 19 years. I have around $60,000 in credit card debt accrued for medical expenses and other necessities. I can no longer make the minimum payments. I'm worried about what to do. I have a wife who is also disabled and am afraid of transferring any of this debt to her. Okay. Now, if we talk to this guy who in Massachusetts has to be one of the better states that has additional laws that protects people that have debt, including seniors. I'd still give it a B minus. I don't think there's any state that has more than a B minus grade, but Massachusetts gets a B minus. They're one of the better ones. I tell this guy, okay, you're 75 years old. Your income is Social Security and a pension. It's protected. Okay, no one can take it. You don't need to pay the $60,000 in credit card debt. If you have a home, Massachusetts have a pretty liberal homestead exemption. Even if you had more equity in the home than what the home is worth, they're not going to take the home. It's not an issue. You own the home with your wife. You say the $60,000 credit card debt is your debt. If they were to sue you, they're going to sue you, not your wife. And if you die before your wife, the home's going to go automatically to your wife. You're not going to have to worry about the credit card debt. You don't need to pay it. Okay? And the debt's not going to transfer to your wife. It's not the practice. There are some states, there's 7 states that have what's called community property laws, which means that, if you own an asset or owe a debt, it's technically owed by the other spouse as well. That the asset or the debt is also owed by the other spouse. But it's simply not the practice of consumer, like credit card companies, to sue a spouse in a community property state if they didn't sign on the debt. They don't do it. Now, legally, I think they could, but they don't as a practice do it for different reasons. So, no, you're not going to need to worry. You can stop paying the $60,000. You don't need to worry about your wife. You don't have to pay the debt. Your income's going to be protected. Even if they decided to sue you, twice the amount of your Social Security going in your bank account is going to be protected automatically from garnishment. Even if your pension went into there and you kept the balance less than twice, it's going to be protected. But if there happened to be over twice in that in there and they garnished the account at the right time of the month for you, which is highly unlikely, but if they did, You can file a challenge to garnishment or claim exemption to get the money returned by the court. So you don't need to worry. And then if you enroll in HELPS, you're going to send a letter to all these debt collectors and creditors letting them know that your income's protected. They're going to leave you alone, so you don't need to worry about this stuff. Okay. Don't need to worry. So this person called to us, contacted us. I'm not sure where they're from, but they were referred to us by another client. It says, finding a hard way to make ends meet following some credit cards that they took out. And trying to repay them. And she bought a car that apparently went kaput, died out. She never has anything left once she pays everything, can hardly buy food. When she took the credit out to help with this in the first place, now it's a big circle, feeling a bit guilty that she can't keep it up. We reassured her, a bit sad about her credit union she worked so hard to keep in standing. We reviewed HELPS protections, the fees, what we do, and how she could rebuild her credit. We also emailed her an email. We've got an email that's called Guilt and Debt that explains why you don't need to feel guilty if you can't pay your debts. You know, these credit card companies, they charge high interest. They know at the beginning of the year a certain percentage of the debts aren't going to go bad, and they account for that in the interest they charge. So they know that a certain percentage of people aren't going to be able to pay the debt. You didn't get in this problem intentionally. It's just life happened. Like this lady. She didn't intentionally run up this debt fearing she wasn't going to be able to pay it, but it just happened. So she enrolled in HELPS, and she's going to be okay. She doesn't have to worry about paying the credit card. She is going to have some money left over for food. All she needs to pay is for her rent, utilities, basic needs. She doesn't need to worry about that. And as far as the car, if she owes money on it and it's not running, she can let it go back. They're going to repossess it. So what? If she owes some money on the car, excess, a deficiency, she's not going to have to pay it. She doesn't need to worry. Okay. So this person contacted us from Virginia, looking for options on overwhelming credit card payments, but also having credit card accounts open tied to a banking and checking. Apparently she owes credit, she has loans or or debts that she owes to the bank where she banks. Well, let's talk about that for a minute. Okay. There's a federal law that tells banks that they're not allowed to take money out of your account into which Social Security is deposited to pay a loan that you owe the bank unless you gave them permission to do that. Most people don't do that. Banks don't require you do that. Now, credit unions do. So if you contact HELPS and you got debt that you owe to a credit union and you bank at that credit union and you can't pay that credit union debt anymore and you don't want to or you can't afford to, you can stop paying the credit union debt. But we're going to tell you to change to a different bank, to have your Social Security go into a new bank where you don't owe any money. Okay. Now, if you stop paying the credit union, are they going to take money out of your account next month if you don't pay them? No, you'd have to be behind 3 or 4 months or maybe more before they would consider doing that. Okay? Do banks ever do that? Well, recently, not too long ago, we found out that Truist Bank has started using the same stationery store as credit unions, and when you get a bank account at Truist Bank, it says, hey, if you don't pay us on a loan or a credit card you have with us, we can take money out of your account to pay that. So if you have an account with Truist Bank you're not going to pay, you'd want to change to a different bank. Now, technically, if you have other money going into your bank account other than Social Security, they could take money out to pay the debt. It's just this rule only applies to Social Security funds that go into your bank account. But it's been our experience that banks that will not take money out of your account, even if you have other monies going in there other than Social Security. So if you want to stay with the same bank, you can do that. Okay. But if you're feeling comfortable about it, just change. It's not difficult to change to have your retirement funds go to a different bank. Social Security, you can do that pretty easy. It's not difficult. Okay. We tell people how to do that. We have a YouTube videos that talk about that. We have emails that talk about that. You just open up a new account at a new bank, contact Social Security either online, in person, or over the phone, which is easy. You give them the new routing number for your new bank account. If you do it by the 10th of the month, normally they will have your Social Security for the following month go into the new bank account. Okay? So you can change accounts in which Social Security is deposited. Okay. This person contacted us from Ohio. I have student loan and credit card debt and other collections. I am disabled and have been declared as so with Social Security since 2011. Okay. And apparently they want help. So they have student loans, credit card debt, and other collections. Well, if they're getting Social Security, their income is protected. They don't need to worry. They contact us. They're going to give us the creditors they owe money to. We'll send a cease and desist letter out, and the creditors are going to leave her alone. Now, what about the student loans? Well, if this person's disabled, she can get this student loans discharged, wiped off. We got an email that explains how that's done. But let's say she wasn't. This person wasn't disabled. You know, the most a student loan can do is offset 15% of your Social Security, but you can often qualify for what's an income-based repayment plan and pay $0 per month. So doesn't need to worry about the credit card debt, doesn't worry about the other collections, and student loans are easily solved. Okay? Kathy says, I felt guilty for the first 3 months, and then I got over it. After the mass calls from the creditors, after they got their cease and desist letter, then I knew that help was the best thing that I had on my side. Thanks, Kathy. Yeah, we hear that a lot. We hear that a lot. I think it was Friday. I talked to a lot of people on Friday. And they were existing clients, and everyone said, "Oh, Eric, we're so thankful for what you guys do." I'm so, and they say you probably get tired of hearing this. I said, "Well, I do hear it a lot. I don't get tired about it, but it keeps me going to know that we're helping people." So, yeah, if you're struggling in these matters and you need help, call us. We're glad to go over it with you. When people call, sometimes they call us 3 or 4 times or more, and then before they decide, well, we want you to feel comfortable and know exactly what we do and how we help seniors, okay, so that you don't need to worry. So this person called us from Colorado. They get Social Security, and they were younger. They're age 50, Social Security disability. So HELP stands for Help Eliminate Legal Problems for Seniors and Disabled Persons. HELPS, okay? So it doesn't matter how old you are. If you're getting protected income, we're going to help you there, okay? So they actually got transferred from a company called Debt.com, which is a debt management company, and they're a good one. They're one of the few. They actually refer clients to HELPS. Bless their hearts. And she had a hard time speaking, and towards the end, it was very difficult to understand, okay? We completed, we read what we do. We read what we do. Um, and she said that she had Parkinson's. We emailed her some stuff. So, and then she called back in December, and we talked to her some more. This is a good example of how we do it. She called us earlier last fall, then she called in December, and she said she may be a little bit compulsive in incurring debt, and says morally conflicted. And we want to know if our skeptical of our law firm, is it legal? Yes, it's legal. We don't represent people in court. We represent people under the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act as your attorney to get debt collector communication. We don't represent people in court. We don't give legal advice. We give legal information. So that way we can practice in every 50 states to represent you to get collectors from bothering you. We don't help people that go to court. We don't do that because you don't. If someone were to get a judgment, they can't collect from you. We let you know what the law is, why you don't need to worry. Okay. So we texted, we emailed her some more of our literature, and then she called back on January. Sorry to call you back, she says. Well, we don't mind. You can call as much as you need to while you're making these decisions. Um, and ask some more questions. And I guess this is how I'll read the last part. They won't call me anymore. And if they do call me, I just refer them to you. That's what you said. I want to watch the YouTube video and make sure that they completely understand what's going on. Okay, thanks. I will be talking to you soon. Yeah, that's what we do. You know, we're happy to talk with people more than once or twice or three times. Understand that you want to understand what we do, and that that it's going to help you. Okay. She says, I'll never get off 6 cards, so that would be $300 a month that she's not going to have to pay. Is there a similar organization for helps in Ontario, Canada? I kind of doubt it, but I'm pretty darn sure that you know the laws in Canada are pretty similar to the laws in the United States. That your retirement monies are protected; it can't be taken from you or garnished, and that you can send a cease and desist, something like a cease and desist letter out in Canada that prevents a debt collector from calling you. I'm pretty sure that's the case. But is there a legal organization in Canada that does this? Not that I'm aware of. Maybe you want to be a 51st state. Just kidding. Just kidding. I'm not getting into politics. No, I wasn't serious. But I just thought, no, you don't. I'm sure you don't have to worry about Canada. Okay, so Judy she's from Michigan and she got a 1099-C. Well, okay. Okay, I think the sound's in. I pushed a button accidentally. So let me go back. I don't know where you lost me at. Okay. I was talking about 1099-Cs. Okay, if your only income is Social Security, you're not required to file taxes. You don't need to worry about a tax return. Okay, and um, the rule for 1099-C is if there's a form called 982 that if you are required to file taxes, uh, if you're insolvent, which means if your debt exceeds your assets, which is the case for a lot of seniors, especially helps clients. If you have more debt than you have assets, then you're insolvent. There's no tax. But even if you happen to owe some tax because of a 1099-C, which I extremely doubt, uh, you can you can you can get on currently not collectible status with IRS if your income is like $2,500 or less if you're single, or $3,500 or less if you're married. Um, we have videos that talk about how to do that. So there shouldn't be an issue with your a 1099-C for almost all helps clients. You can hear me now, right? I hope. Please say yes. I don't want the sound to be off. Eric, we're getting our Social Security garnished by the IRS at 70% rate. How are they doing that instead of 15%? It makes no sense. Betty, once you call, talk to me. You can ask for me, Eric. Makes no sense. Now, you can have Social Security garnished for a high amount for past due child support. Okay, not 70%, 60% is the highest. And I can talk about that if that happens. That's very rare that that ever happens. Okay, this person contacted us from Indiana. Hello, I'm writing for my mother who is in a nursing home at this time. I got a private process server for my summons for my mother. It was left on the ground in front of the front door. The paperwork would still be outside if I did not live here. I live in the house with her and was looking on YouTube for any information and came upon your helps ads and am wondering what to do next. I do not answer the telephone when it rings because it's usually someone asking for her those Medicaid enrollment calls. I know that. I do not like phones, and I've not learned to text yet. After listening to your advice, I know that her Social Security and VA money is safe from the law. You're right. Indiana, you're right. The nursing home already took her Social Security and having her VA money sent to the nursing home under her name. I don't know how they did that. I also have Social Security early retirement. So I have some money coming in for the house bills, not enough. She has 3 credit cards that have not been paid on for years. I do not know what my next move is right now. The nursing home has attorneys that I have just found out about not too long. I do not know who to trust anymore. Well, okay. Mom gets Social Security and VA. It's protected. She's been sued. Both those are federal benefits. Twice the amount of that money deposited in her bank account is protected automatically from garnishment. I'm sure when that money goes in, it goes to pay her care. There will never be more than twice that amount in her account if they get a judgment. Uh, and she has credit cards that haven't been paid. Don't need to pay them. I don't know what if you got power of attorney for your mom and you want her help, you can call us. We can enroll your mom in helps. We'll send a letter to these creditors that are bothering you. They're going to have to leave you alone. Mom's been sued. She's not going to have to go to court. Obviously she's in a nursing home. We're going to send a letter to the attorney that sued her and let him know that her only income is protected. It's Social Security and VA benefits. She can't afford to pay the debt. So, you're going to be fine. That's what you do. You're going to call us. We're going to let you know that you're going to be okay. Okay? And we can help you so you don't have to deal with these creditors. So this person contacts, I just watched your YouTube. I will be 65 soon, and I'm on Social Security disability. I have 3 credit cards that are not yet behind, but I can't hang on. My car was wrecked last year, and I can't get ahead enough to get fixed or save for another. I owe about $10,000, but they're at their limit. Groceries become higher, and having trouble feeding the animals and myself, and I rent. Help, please. Well, yeah, we're going to help you. We're going to tell you don't have to pay the credit card debt anymore. You don't have to worry about any of the debt. The car that you own, if you owe any more money on that car that was wrecked, your money's going to be available for your needs, for your food and your medicine. And I know there won't be a lot, but you don't have to worry about the debt, okay? And you won't have to worry about the creditors harassing you or bothering you. If you get sued, you're not going to have to go to court. So call and talk to us, and we're going to help you. We're going to let you know about your rights and why you're going to be okay. When I pass, would debt automatically transfer to my daughter? No. The debt's in your name. It's not going to go to your kid. And now, I'm not an expert on Canada law, but I can pretty much tell you that without looking at anything. Okay? Your children aren't going to be liable for your debt. Anyone who tells you otherwise doesn't know what they're talking about. Someone could point to a case in Pennsylvania from about 20 years ago that said that, but that was a completely different fact situation. No. Your kids aren't going to be responsible for your debt. So this person contacted us from Washington. They spoke with a law firm yesterday about bankruptcy who told them to call us. God bless that law firm. They did the right thing. He told me to contact you about debt we owe that we can't pay. My husband receives Social Security and 2 small pensions. I received Social Security. He advised me to stop paying the debts and that you would contact them to have them stop contacting us. My husband is very ill. Please advise us what we need to do next. Well, we're going to call them on the phone. They contacted us, and we're going to tell them what we do. And we're going to probably send them an email that has videos and to some of the videos from YouTube, articles from Helps, and they're going to understand that their Social Security is protected. So is his pensions that can't be taken. They're protected in his bank account. Yours are too. If you have a home, it's not at risk. You can stop paying the debt. You don't need to file bankruptcy. If they sue you, you're not going to have to go to court. You're going to be fine. Okay? And this attorney that referred this person to us was actually an attorney from my old law firm. Bless his heart. He did the right thing. Of course he did the right thing. They know what to do. They saw this person and they said, they came in and talked to him and said, we get this Social Security and these little pensions and got this debt we can't afford. They could have charged him $2,000 or $3,000 to file bankruptcy, but they didn't. They said, you don't need to file bankruptcy. You can't afford to pay us. Bankruptcy isn't going to help you. Contact Helps instead. You can roll. It's going to cost you very little to get their help. And they're going to help you ongoing so you don't have to deal with debt collectors. You don't have to go through the bankruptcy rigmarole. Okay? And that's what we tell people. Very few seniors need to file bankruptcy. Very few. Once in a while it might be. If we have a senior where it looks like it makes sense, I have no problem referring someone for bankruptcy. No problem at all. But I talk to a lot of people that either filed bankruptcy or are filing bankruptcy or enter Chapter 13 bankruptcy that don't need to be there. And sometimes they're there just because an attorney was looking out for his fees and not what's in the client's best interest. Okay, but that's another topic. Okay, this person contacted us from Idaho. I'm looking for ways to get help with on my mortgage, my credit cards, and my utility bills. Well, okay, I can help one out of three. Your credit cards. Okay, if you're on Social Security or pension, disability, VA benefits, you can stop paying the credit card debt. That may make more money available to make the mortgage payment and to deal with utilities. Okay. Now, if you have a mortgage payment that you simply can't afford and you're a senior, there may be some other solutions. Okay. You could always choose to sell the home if there's equity in it. If you've got a huge equity in the home, we might be telling you about what's called a reverse mortgage. Sometimes I'll tell people that and they'll say, well, I don't want that. And I'll say, why? And they can't give me a reason because they don't know anything about it or they've been given misinformation. A reverse mortgage can be an answer to prayer for some seniors. What is a reverse mortgage? Well, if you had a home, let's say you owed $100,000 on the home, is worth $300,000. You had $200,000 equity. And depending on your age and the interest rate, a reverse mortgage would pay off the $100,000, so you no longer have a mortgage payment anymore. And depending on how much equity, it might give you a little access to a line of credit. And you own the home to the day you die. You could still sell the home if you wanted to, but you're not going to have to make a mortgage payment anymore. So that could solve the mortgage payment problem. Now, I don't sell reverse mortgages, but on occasion when I talk to clients where it could make sense, I tell them about it and send them some information that could help them so they can make a decision. A reverse mortgage for some seniors can be an answer to prayer. Yeah, we're almost down to the end. I'll do one more, and then we'll be talking to you tomorrow. And if you can press the like button on our YouTube page, on our, click a little bit like, or you can subscribe to our channel. If you have some more questions, you can put it in comments. Okay, this person from Texas. I have an outstanding $6,000 debt and have received a letter from Resurgent Capital Services stating it has been moved into a 6-month accelerated pre-legal collection track. I get a kick out of how these debt collectors, they use different language to intimidate and scare people. Remember, a debt collector is never going to tell you, if you're a senior, hey, we really can't do anything to you. All your income is protected. It's safe. You don't need to pay this debt. No, they're going to say anything they can to get you to engage with them so you make arrangements to pay the debt. By law, they don't have to tell you your rights. You're going to hear it from helps, but not from them. Okay, I'm not sure how old this is. I'm 80. Oh my gosh. Retired and living on Social Security and a very small pension. I'm scared about legal action. I can barely make ends meet. Can you help me? Yes, sir, we can help you. My gosh, a little debt collector scaring a little 80-year-old person. Man, that's not right. Okay. No, we're going to help you. If you're out there and you've got debt problems and you're worried or scared, or if you're a client and you've got questions, you call us on the phone. We tell our clients you can always call us if you're concerned or worried. We'll be glad to go over this stuff with you as many times as necessary, because that's why Helps was founded, so that seniors wouldn't have to worry. So I'm going to wrap it up for today. We got plenty of things to talk about tomorrow. If you have any questions or you're new and you don't know about your situation, you can call us. We got people on standing by to answer your questions. If we're too busy, we'll take your number and we'll call you back. If we've called you a while back and you haven't got a call back, be sure and call us again. We try to get through to everyone within a reasonable amount of time, but bottom line is you're going to be okay. So have a great day. Don't want you to worry, and if you have any more questions, call us, and I'll talk to you tomorrow, same time. God bless.